No, it's Tuesday, but it feels like Monday. The hour of convening has arrived, and the Senate will now come to order. I would ask that all unauthorized persons exit the chamber. Didn't think I would say this, but the chair has missed the senator from the 53rd, and at this time would like to recognize him.
How handsome you were. Now, there is some debate about that, but I want to tell you that we're glad to serve here, and we appreciate your leadership. A moment in time, the Georgia Supreme Court met for the very first time in Talbot County, and that is the senator from over that way. I can't think of her number. But the journal's been read to found be correct, and we're glad to be here to serve the people of Georgia.
Thank you for all the additional information in addition to the journal being read. Is there objection with dispensing of the reading of the journal? The chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. Mr. Secretary, first reading of bills and resolutions from the Senate, please.
Senate Bill Number 10 by Senators Joan of the 10th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to offenses against public order so as to provide for an offense of promoting illegal drag racing and laying drags.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 14 by Senators Anderson of the 43rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 8 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to employment security benefits so as to allow applicants for benefits to obtain
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 15 by Senators Anderson of the 43rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 20-2-142.1 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to coursework in the founding philosophy and principles of the United States of America so as to
Education and youth.
Senate Bill 16 by Senators Anderson of the 43rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 5 of Chapter 12 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Georgia Commission on Women so as to create the Georgia Commission on
Government
Black Women.
oversight.
Senate Bill 17 by Senators Jones of the 10th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to elementary and secondary education so as to provide for a certification program.
Education and youth.
Senate Bill 18 by Senators Jones the 2nd of the 22nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 3 of Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to limitations on prosecution so as to revise the statute of limitations.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 19 by Senators Butler of the 55th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to regulation and construction of hospitals and other health care facilities so as to require hospitals.
Health and Human Services.
Senate Resolution 11 by Senators Ginn of the 47th and others, a resolution recognizing the Georgia Recyclers Association, the Georgia Recycling Coalition, and the Institute of Scrap.
Rules.
This completes the order, Mr. President.
The Senate has received a communication from the governor requesting that his appointments to the various agencies, boards, and commissions be confirmed by the Senate. The Secretary will now read that communication.
January 25th, 2020. Dear Secretary Cook, attached is the list of appointments to various boards, commissions, authorities, and other entities requiring Senate confirmation. This list is submitted pursuant to Senate Rules 3-3.1 et sec. If we provide you with any additional information to assist your office in the confirmation process, please let us know. Thank you for your assistance. Sincerely, Brian P. Kemp.
Pursuant to Senate Rule 3-3.1, the appointments are now referred to the Committee on Assignments. All right, it's time for morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? The chair recognizes my good friend, the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning.
Good morning.
I ask that you excuse, unanimous consent, the senator from the 35th, 32nd, 38th, and 37th for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senators from the 35th, 32nd, 38th, and 37th are excused. Chair recognizes the Majority Whip.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the gentleman from the 8th.
Without objection, the senator from the 8th is excused. Chair recognizes the senator from the 14th.
Good morning, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 16th for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 16th is excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 43rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 26th.
Without objection, the senator from the 26th is excused. Are there any additional motions to excuse? The chair sees none. The secretary will call the roll of senators. Signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The secretary will unlock the machine. Mr. Secretary, please close the machine. It's now time for our morning devotional. It is now time for our morning devotional. I'd ask that all senators please take your seats and cease all audible conversations. I ask that the doorkeeper secure the chamber at this time. I'd like to recognize the senator from the 32nd to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance today and to introduce to us our chaplain of the day.
Please join me as we honor our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Thank you, fellow senators and staff. I'm happy to introduce you to my pastor, Reverend Kristen Hayden. Reverend Hayden has been the senior pastor at East Cobb United Methodist Church since 2018, and prior to that, she served in Roswell and Fayetteville. She graduated from the University of Georgia with a BA in History and Spanish, and then earned her Master of Divinity from Duke University Divinity School. Kristen has two children, Ruthie Jean, age 8, and Harrison, age 5, and she's done a great job with keeping our church engaged during the pandemic and pursuing our mission of community service. I'm looking forward to hearing her words of wisdom today.
Thank you, Senator Kay. It is a joy and an honor to be with all of you this morning. Today, I want to read 2 verses from the prophet Micah, chapter 6, verses 6 and 8. With what should I approach the Lord and bow down before God on high? He has told you, human one, what is good and what the Lord requires from you: to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Now, I have always loved these verses. I'm one of those people that likes to make to-do lists and check them off as I go. I've also been guilty a time or two of adding something to my to-do list that I've already done just so I can have the satisfaction of checking it off. I trust I'm not alone in that. I'm in a room of movers and shakers. And I assume that maybe some of you have done the same. And so this passage from Micah, it feeds that desire to have a to-do list and then get it completed. But unlike my typical list that includes phone calls to make, emails to respond to, cards to write, children's schoolwork to check, and laundry to fold, the prophet's to-do list is a little more intimidating. Do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with God. Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to get around to those today. It feels like a lot. It's just a bit overwhelming. After this year that we have all experienced, the hashtag 2020 experience, the last thing any of us need to do is add another overwhelming task to our to-do lists. These days, it's enough for me to remember phone, keys, wallet, mask. We need it all before we leave the house. And that's why I am grateful for the wisdom of the Jewish rabbis and the ways in which they have understood this passage from Micah. When I was studying this text, I came across the book Wisdom of the Jewish Sages, a modern reading of the Pirkei Avot. It is a translation of Jewish legal discussions and stories from the rabbis. And in it, the author translates the rabbi's discussion of Micah 6:8 in the following way. Do justice now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. I love this understanding of the prophet's words, for in it I hear a great amount of freedom. It is not our responsibility to fix every problem, to right every wrong, to address every injustice before us. And to hear that allows me to breathe a little bit easier. But before we get too comfortable, we're not off the hook. In the freedom offered, there is still a challenge extended. We cannot not do anything either. Instead, we must approach our days, our tasks, our responsibilities through a lens of justice, mercy, and humility. And so I wonder, how can we embody those ideals in our daily lives, even in small ways, that might make a small difference here and now? Today and throughout this week, you will be in my prayers as you embark on another week of legislative session. And I know that the tasks before you are great. And at times, it may feel like there is never enough getting done. At times, it may feel like there is never a big enough difference being made in our great state. But when those times come, I invite you to take a deep breath, to really inhale and exhale, and remember the words of the prophet through the teaching of the rabbis. Consider what you can do now that just starts to move the needle towards justice, towards compassion. How might you share mercy and love now, both with your constituents across Georgia and with your colleagues across the aisle? And how might you embrace a stance of humility and follow the footsteps of the God you serve? do justice now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. Will you pray with me? O holy God, I give thanks for all those who are gathered in this chamber today, for the love, the care, the compassion, and the passion that they have for this great state of Georgia, and for all those who reside therein. Oh God, as they go about their work, I pray your Spirit be among them, around them, and within them, and that the words of the prophet may echo through all the work that they do. How might we all do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly together with you and with one another for the good of our fellow human beings, for the good of our state, for the good of our country, and for the good of all creation. For all this, we pray to you. Amen.
Senate will come back to order. Are there any unanimous consents? The chair sees none. Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Chair would like to recognize the majority leader for a point of personal privilege. The Senate will come back to order. Chair recognizes the majority leader for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad to see that nothing has changed since I was gone last week. The Senate's coming to order. It's still a little bit of a loose term. But I do want to say thank you to all the people that reached out to me when I was under the impact of the coronavirus. It was very, very nice. As a matter of fact, the distinguished minority leader was so kind. She said I didn't even need to come back this session, that she had it all under control. So I appreciate her thoughts and good wishes on that. What I will say, just to add to that, 2.5 weeks ago, I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And then the virus got me as well. And it was uncomfortable, to say the least. But the thing that would have caused me greater discomfort is if I had known that I had passed that virus to somebody else while I was sitting in this chamber. Because you're all too valuable to have somebody slip up and pass it unknowingly. So what I would ask of y'all, and I am proud of you for doing it so far as a body here, continue the testing. Continue to do it. It's not painful. I mean, anybody can spit in a tube. Continue the testing, wear your mask, take the precautions that we've set in place, and let's do the people's work of Georgia in the safest manner that we possibly can. But thank you again for all your thoughts, prayers, and well wishes.
Chair recognizes the governor's floor leader, the senator from the 50th, for a point of personal privilege.
Good morning. Excuse me, I just have to get my notes pulled up here. I rise today to provide some context and clarity to some talking points and news stories that are being passed around amongst some of our colleagues and our friends out in the hallway. The top story in today's Atlanta Journal-Constitution reads, "No boost in budget for pandemic." But you have to read 11 pages in and turn to page 8 before the story notes that more than $1 billion has been spent by our state government alone to respond to the pandemic. That's more than 4 times our annual public health spending. So how can it be? How can the headline read that there's no boost in budget while we have quadrupled spending? I don't think Common Core math could add that properly. As recently as last week, Governor Kemp in a press conference said very clearly that we will use every resource, our time, our people, and our funding in our response efforts. And when members of this General Assembly asked our respected public health leader, Dr. Toomey, why she didn't request more state funding, she clearly answered that our federal partners have continued to provide the assistance that we need, and there's likely to be even more provided under this new administration. So I urge my colleagues today, as we work together to pass budgets that address the priorities we all have for our state, let's get past these headlines that may sell papers, but do not help Georgians understand the full extent that we have gone through to protect both the lives and the livelihoods of all Georgians. Thank you. I yield the will.
Thank you, Senator. The chair recognizes the senator from the 14th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just like many of you, we have lost dear friends, loved ones, and neighbors to COVID. We're told in Ezekiel 22:30 that we're to stand in the gap and to pray for others. And as believers, it's not a choice, it's a privilege. I rise today because I've had the privilege over the last 7 years to work with hundreds of pastors up in my district. We lost Doug Harris, who is a staple in our community just in the last few days. Mike Stevens, who built Burnt Hickory Baptist into a mega church, is fighting for his life right now and not expected to live. And Bill Klein, another pastor who's helped revitalize churches in Bartow County, is not expected to live. My friends, Mr. President, I'd ask for a moment of prayer for these dear colleagues.
Senators ask for us to rise and offer a moment of prayer.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to talk about the Rules Committee meeting. I'm honored to be your chair of that again, and want to thank the Committee on Assignments, Lieutenant Governor, for that. But the Committee on Rules meets when we have bills. And until the normal regular standing committees meet, we won't have bills. However, we were normally, and we can't meet until the 6th day. 6th day is tomorrow, but we have the President Pro Tem luncheon, so we'll be moving our first meeting to adopt the rules of the Senate Rules Committee to Thursday. So I just want to let you know I've had a lot of questions on that. I look forward to that, and remember, the Senate operates a little different from the House. We're a little more independent. The President of the Senate gives us the guidelines to make sure that we choose right bills for the floor of the Senate. And I think everybody should have access to the floor of the Senate, provided that it's a good bill. So we're going to have a great session this year. We're going to put some good legislation on the floor that represents the people of Georgia. If I can be of service to you, please come by my office at any time. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 4th for a point of personal privilege. I'm guessing the senator from the 1st might have something to do with why the senator from the 4th's button's pushed. That moment of silence. Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th for a point of personal privilege.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is such a joy to be in this chamber yet once again. I don't know about you, but this morning, a storm awakened me. And as I laid there listening to the beating rain and all of the lightning, it was lightning, you guys. It was a real storm. I thought about the storm that we've been in for the past year. This pandemic is a storm to a lot of people and is not passing through as quickly as the one last night. Part of the storm that we are seeing right now is with health care or the access to health care. That's bothersome to me because many of you who have been here a while know that I was tapped by the Obama administration to be one of the people from our state to do the rollout for the Affordable Care Act. And one of the greatest times I had while doing that job was when the then President Barack Obama, 44th, came before us and asked us, when we get back to our states, let them know that I heard that the Affordable Care Act is being named Obamacare. But let your people in your state know I do care. What an upstanding leader in the 44th president, trying to make sure that even the least of these has access to affordable care. That was powerful for me. That was an honor for me. And I was just so proud that we now had access to care. However, coming back to this great state of Georgia that I was born and raised in, we did not accept that Affordable Care Act monies. Had we, I don't think we would all be having the same pandemic issues that we are having in a lot of our districts. Access to care. I am so proud that I was able to go when I had my heart attack to get some of the best care, starting at Southern Regional Medical Center in my district, ending at Emory University Hospital. That was a scary time in 2003, but I survived it. But today, under the pandemic, I am vulnerable. I am one of those that can check off one of those 8 things that make you vulnerable to this pandemic. The pandemic is real. My colleague stood here this morning before me and said how he had gone through it, and he was so gracious to make sure we know he was in a posture of making sure he did not want to affect anybody else. When I came to work on yesterday to do a little catch up in my office, I noticed a gentleman in the Capitol that was not wearing a mask. And I know we have posted throughout this building about our suggestions, but it's not something that's saying we're mandating, because we actually, I'm sure that we want everybody to be grown up enough to not only take care of themselves, but to take care of people who are vulnerable like me. The second thing I wanted to make mention of is several years ago, I had the honor and the privilege to be chair of the Digital Divide Study Committee. At that time, the digital divide was more about seniors and having access to digitality. We were all in a digital world, but the seniors were not embracing it for various reasons. And I see my light has already jumped, so I'll come back tomorrow and finish up. But I will close with this, that we must take this pandemic serious and take health care serious. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll yield the will.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 36th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I am pleased to bring to you today Dr. Anurag Sahu, who is our doctor of the day. Now, he's not with us in the chamber. He is in the medical aid station for obvious reasons in terms of not exposing ourselves to each other unless we can possibly not avoid it. Dr. Sahu immigrated to the United States at the age of 5, and he's the first in his family to go to school in the United States. He has a very distinguished medical background. I want to just share it with you. We, in this age when we look at our medical and our health providers with new eyes and understanding the vital backbone role that they play, Dr. Sahu is an adult cardiologist at Emory University Hospital, an associate professor of cardiology, and an associate professor of radiology at the School of Medicine at Emory. And his areas of expertise include adult congenital heart disease, advanced cardiac imaging, and cardiac intensive care. He developed the cardiac intensive care service line at Emory University, and he leads the high-risk cardiac pregnancy program and is the director of the cardiac MRICT fellowship program and serves on the faculty for the adult congenital heart program at Emory. During the ongoing pandemic, Dr. Sahu works in the ICU, taking care of both COVID-19 patients as well as critically ill cardiac patients. His wife, Tara Matthew Sahu, is the director of integrated marketing content, leading the Diet Coke brand. So they both work for flagship institutions here in our community. With 3 amazing children, and outside of work, Tara and Anurag work with Nicholas House, an Atlanta shelter in my district, which keeps families housed together and helps them achieve self-sufficiency. So if you have occasion to visit the medical station, this is the esteemed and highly trained and deeply caring doctor that will see you there. And we want to thank him and the Medical Association of Georgia for making this possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. For what purpose does the freshman senator from the 31st rise? He waves. Are you certain how those buttons work? Ask your seatmate, the senator from the 29th, to show you. My guess is he's the one who pushed it. We have a couple of privileged resolutions for adoption. Mr. Secretary, will you read the first resolution?
Senate Resolution Number 9, a resolution recognizing and commending Pastor Alexander Icamoni and Pastor Angela Icamoni on their 30th wedding anniversary and vow renewal, and for other purposes.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Mr. Secretary, can you read the next resolution?
Senate Resolution Number 10 by Senator Davenport of the 44th and others, a resolution honoring the life and memory of Lola Mae Carmichael and for other purposes.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. That completes the resolutions. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? The chair sees none. Going to give us a little bit of forward-looking guidance here for the next couple of days, just for planning purposes. We're working on a joint adjournment resolution between the House and the Senate. We expect to see that shortly. I know the majority leaders are both working on that as we speak, and they'll present that to us. But for planning purposes, we planned to be here through Friday. And I know that many of you are trying to get your schedule set up back home. So that's the plan for us to work diligently through Friday. I want to take a special moment to thank especially our Appropriations Chairman for his great work last week, and all the members of Appropriations that worked hard to in the joint budget hearings to be able to really dive deep into the budget and to be able to get us all the information that we need to make great decisions as we move forward. So thank you very much for the Appropriations Chair and your entire committee's efforts. And will not be mistaken to thank Miss Melody, too, for her incredible work and her staff that continually makes us look so much better than we probably all deserve. So I want to thank Miss Melody for that great work. Chair would now like to recognize the Majority Leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Mr. Secretary, will you please read the announcements?
All committee meetings are canceled today.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 19th to make an announcement. Senator can make it from his desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just ask that the subcommittee chairs please meet with me at the front. Meet with me at the front of the rostrum after the Senate adjourns.
Absolutely. Chair recognizes the senator from the 40th for an announcement.
Women's Legislative Caucus will meet today at noon. You can stop by room 216 and pick up a box lunch anytime between 11:30 and 12:10. Then you will disperse to your offices, and we'll have our presentation on women, unemployment, and the pandemic through Zoom. Thank you.
Are there any additional announcements? The chair sees none. The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until Wednesday, January 27th, 2021. Typo. At 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes clearly have it, and the Senate will stand adjourned.